2021 was a great year for the Korean automakers. Genesis debuted its crossovers and effectively its sales quadrupled. Hyundai gave us the Ioniq 5 and the sporty Elantra, and Kia just completely shattered its previous sales record here in the United States. But as we wind down the year and enter into 2022, we're going to look forward and preview every single new Korean car coming for 2022. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Kirk. Talk about Japanese and Korean cars. If you missed my video on all the new Japanese cars coming in 2022, make sure to check that out. It's a great lead up to this video. We're going to get into Genesis first, but there's huge news just coming out from the Korean automakers with their management. Albert Biermann is retiring. He's going to be an advisor. Same thing with Peter Schreier. Peter Schreier was the mastermind behind all the really good looking Kia designs. I pretty much think every single Kia looks better than its Hyundai counterpart, and Peter Schreier is to thank for that. He's the one that came up with the Tiger Nose grille design. Albert Biermann was the one responsible for the entire N lineup, transforming Genesis, and he brought all his expertise into those brands from BMW, where he was a lead engineer there. So these two legends are stepping down, taking a much more minor role, and their positions will be filled by Koreans. How much this is going to affect the Korean automakers going forward, of course, it's impossible to say, but I'm very grateful that they came in, revitalized these brands to the point where there's no way I couldn't include them on the channel. Okay, starting off with the luxury arm of Hyundai, we're talking about Genesis here. I mentioned last year they brought out the crossovers, the GV70, the GV80, their sales quadrupled. They're really good vehicles. Make sure to check out my reviews on them. But they're adding to the lineup once again with a lot more variants and more crossovers. A fully electric crossover called the GV60. It's essentially just going to be the Genesis version of the Ioniq 5 and the Kia EV6. And there's nothing wrong with that because people are saying amazing things about those vehicles. But there are two more EVs likely coming in 2022 for Genesis, and that's going to be the fully electric G80 Sedan, and then also the GV70 is going to get a fully electric option as well. So we're going to head over to the spreadsheet so you can look at these EVs. Just take this with a grain of salt. The power numbers, the acceleration numbers are known. We just don't know pricing at this point or official range. So I have this EV spreadsheet here, which will go over the Ioniq 5 and the EV6 a little bit later, but I just created this new luxury tier, and these Genesis models are looking very powerful and very exciting. So the G80 Sedan could be coming in the first half of 2022 here. 365 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 under 5 seconds. It has a really big battery pack, 87 kilowatt hours, ranges to around 260 to 270 miles or so. I'm guessing it'll start around $70,000 after the tax credit, maybe the mid 60s. The GV60 will be maybe coming out even before that. It's kind of hard to say. I'm expecting it to use the same all-wheel drive powertrain that we have in this Hyundai and Kia setup with the Ioniq 5 and EV6 dual motors. They could offer different variants like a rear-wheel drive and a smaller battery pack, but that's probably just for Korea. I would expect the GV60 to just come in one powertrain, and that's the dual motor, 320 horsepower, 446 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in around 5 seconds, maybe even a little bit faster from what I'm hearing. Range is around 256 miles, maybe a little bit less because that's the range on the all-wheel drive Ioniq 5, for example. Starting price around $55,000 is what I'm guessing. And the GV70, which is arguably their best vehicle, it's going to have what it looks to have similar motors as the G80 electric vehicle, but they're giving it an extra 120 horsepower or so. And the reason is that the torque is the same. It's just a different tune per se to get that extra 100 plus horsepower. 0 to 60 is in the low 4s. I mean, the GV70 twin turbo V6 I drove that this past year, I thought was plenty fast, and that was around 5 seconds, 0 to 60. I would be perfectly content with a 300 horsepower turbocharged 4-cylinder in the GV70, but man, this electrified one's looking pretty tasty. I'm guessing around 250 miles of range. It should have the same battery pack as the G80. Starting price will be close to the G80 electrified, but probably a little bit more, especially it's going to be more powerful. I just threw the Lexus Rz 450e with placeholder numbers to give you guys an example, because out of the luxury brands that I cover, there just isn't a whole lot of EVs at the moment. The RZ will be coming this year. We just don't know much about it. Nothing from Acura, nothing from Infiniti, but we need to keep moving. Still talking about Genesis here, we have the G90. The G90 is getting a redesign, looks really, really cool. Kind of has the same headlight design, pixelated design as the Ioniq 5. Kind of strange. Don't know how I feel about those headlights. But there's also talk about a GV90 coming to the market. It'd be a rear-wheel drive base just like the GV70 and the GV80, but not body on frame. So it's not really a competitor to, let's say, like the Cadillac Escalade, which is body on frame, more of a pickup truck. Probably more similar to like the BMW X7 or the Mercedes GLS class vehicles. So we're talking big sport performance 3-row luxury. This thing will probably be $100,000, but it's not confirmed. So we need to head on over to Hyundai, keep the ball rolling. The Ioniq 5 is just now available at the time of the recording, late December 2021 as a 2022 model. So really mass availability for it will be in 2022. So I'm still counting the Ioniq 5 and its successor, or you could say stablemate, the Ioniq 6, based off the Hyundai Prophecy concept, should be coming out late 2022. But I wouldn't be surprised if that gets pushed into 2023. We should be getting a Sonata refresh. It'll be interesting to see if they change the catfish looks of the Sonata. The small cheap crossover thingy, the Venue, should be getting a refresh. Accent could be killed this year, which is kind of sad because that vehicle comes in around $15,000, $16,000. So cheap cars continuing to disappear from the market. Honda killed the Fit here in the United States. Toyota killed the Yaris, and there's just a lot more examples. And Elantra N, even though it should be available late 2021, is really going to be mass available in 2022. And I love bringing up this hot hatch spreadsheet for you guys. We have the Elantra N here, which I know the Elantra N is still a sedan, but it's in the hot hatch segment. You guys know it is. 276 horsepower, 289 pound-feet of torque, and this thing is a rocket. Can't wait to drive it. We have a new Civic Type R to compat it this year. Also, the GR Corolla will be coming out, so just a great time to be an enthusiast for small, practical but fun vehicles. As a result, also the Kona N will see availability in 2022 as well. We don't know what's going to happen with the Veloster. There's been so many articles of the past year or two talking about how the Veloster is going to, get canceled. I think a lot of its trims and variants have been canceled here in North America. The Veloster N is still out there, so they could refresh, they could kill it. Who knows what they'll do with the Veloster. And then the Palisade should be getting a refresh as well. And summing it up with Kia, the last of the Korean automakers that we see here in the United States, just broke their own record for sales. They might even eclipse 700,000 sales for 2021 when it's all said and done. Their big product this year is the Sportage, the Kia version of the Tucson. It'll be getting a hybrid as well as a plug-in hybrid. I have a spreadsheet for you guys. We don't get the diesel or the turbo inline 4 non-hybrid here, but we get all of these options that are coming to the Sportage, starting with the 2.5 liter inline 4 cylinder, the hybrid, which uses a 1.6 liter turbo. You get 226 horsepower, and this torque is not correct because I really don't know how they figure their torque numbers on their hybrids. It's a little bit different than Toyota's, but just know that their torque number is around probably 226 as well. And then you have the plug-in hybrid, so an alternative out there to something like the RAV4 Prime. 32 miles of electric range, 261 horsepower, and 258 pound-feet of torque. And the new Sportage looks really, really cool. It's definitely going to catch some eyes. I think it looks better than the Tucson. The Tucson just has too many lines and angles going on. I get a little dizzy looking at the Tucson. But since Kia doesn't have like their own performance division or luxury division, they like giving GT trims for their sport line. So it is a possibility they could put the 2-liter turbo in here from like the Elantra N, for example. And just like the Ioniq 5 for Hyundai, Kia has their EV6, which is getting a little bit better range. So we're going to go to the spreadsheet, of course. You'll have a base rear-wheel drive model with around 232 miles of range here, around $33,000 after the credit. You have a more powerful rear-wheel drive model with a larger battery pack here, going for about $37,000, and will give you 310 miles of range. Very impressive on the Kia EV6. We'll have a really quick 320 horsepower, 446 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 around 5 seconds, just like the Ioniq 5, coming around in the low 40s. And then we have the EV6 GT, which could be coming out by the end of 2022 as well. 576 horsepower and a Kia crossover. What's happening in our world, guys? I have no idea how much this thing will cost. I put $60,000 here. They could charge 70, 75, 80. I just have no idea because something like this hasn't been seen out of a Kia before, this sort of performance and power. And it would be leaving the Model Y in theory in the dust, and as well as the Mach-E GT. So if those are around $65,000, maybe they price the EV6 GT around 70. It's hard to say. And I know the EV6 has been available in other parts of the world, but we just still don't have it here in the United States at the end of 2021. But getting back into normal gas cars here, the Soul will be getting a refresh. Got to refresh the Soul. Feels good, right? Anyways, that was really corny. Seltos will be getting a refresh. Feel like that car just came out. And the Telluride could be getting a refresh as well, because the Palisade is supposed to get a refresh. So things are looking good for all the Korean manufacturers. Oh, also, and if the Ioniq 6 is coming out, sedan, electric car for Hyundai, Kia could be getting their own variant of that sedan. It just, the numbers are going to get really ridiculous at this point, because you have the Ioniq 5 and 6, you'll have an Ioniq 7 as well. And we already have an EV6, which is equivalent to the Ioniq 5. And then if they come out with a sedan, they can't call it the EV7, because I think that's what they want to name their 3-row crossover electric vehicle, and that comes out in 2023. So anyways, I'll worry about the naming when those products are actually available and announced. It'll be fun to see the Koreans continue with their momentum into 2022, building on their success from 2021. Genesis is rapidly changing and becoming more formidable every single month, it feels like. Just need to get those dealerships, those dedicated dealerships. That would help the brand out immensely. And then between Hyundai and Kia, their new products always coming out as well as their new dedication to electrification is really transforming the brand, and they're maturing very, very well. And I just want to thank you guys for a wonderful 2021. Channel's grown, moved across the country, so many opportunities, and things just keep getting better. In 2022, channel is going to keep growing thanks to you guys, thanks to the support of the luxurious fleet. Thank you so much. I'll catch you guys in the comments down below. Smash the like button if you haven't. I'll catch you in the next video. As always, peace out.